to Metal Minutiae Podcast. I'm Ray, this is Phil, and we are here to talk to you about heavy metal in far too much detail. How you doing, Phil?
Yeah, pretty well. Doing well.
Doing well?
King's birthday weekend.
Indeed.
Nice and relaxed. There's a lot of things to be excited in heavy metal. We live in the best time for heavy metal, possibly.
Possibly.
Arguably.
Debatably.
Yeah. That might be a whole topic for another episode, actually. Just
let's not go early calls on that.
Yeah.
Keep our powder dry.
Yeah, fair call. Yeah. But it's a very exciting time.
So we've had some gigs recently that have been pretty cool. How did you, like Cirith Ungol was just here?
Yeah.
I know you're a big Cirith Ungol fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you enjoy the night?
It was quite a surreal experience, I will say, because they're just one of those bands that I just never thought I would see, let alone in Richmond.
The Corner Hotel wasn't where you specifically thought you'd see them?
That is not where I would see them. I thought I would see them in 1985, in a time travel type situation.
It did seem more likely.
Yeah, exactly. 10 years ago, it would have been more likely that I would have had come upon the technology for time travel back in time and see the band than it would that they were going to play in Richmond. But lo and behold, thanks to Your Mate Bookings and a few other supportive characters, they made it out, and it was a very exciting night. I think it was tangible. People
were pumped.
Yeah,
it was. There was the palatable enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Palpable.
Tangible.
Yeah. Got that word wrong, haven't we?
Yeah, that's right. We'll edit that out in post. We'll make us look real smart.
Only the best vocabulary will be.
We're going to look way smarter than we are. No, but the vibe was incredible. The crowd were great. It was a good Melbourne crowd. Vocalist Tim Baker was a bit crook. He was a bit croaky, but it didn't stand in the way of the excitement from the crowd. And I think they really got away with it because, certain bands might just completely fall apart without the singer being able to be able to pull it together. But in which sense I mean just still convincingly performing without worrying about range, Yeah. Because that's, it was still the emotion was still there and that was still coming across. So for me as a punter, I was still thrilled, even though sure, we didn't get that, and you always want a bit of that.
But he is a human, and
absolutely, he is human. As far as we know, he is not a cyborg.
Yeah. Or
a time-traveling vampire.
Yeah. And us humans are a little, particularly when it comes to vocals, it's the one thing you can't really, Yeah, I'm sure you've experienced it in your time, having slightly under the weather and the frustration you can get away with it if you play bass, but singing's a little bit different.
It's the human element, and it's something that there's so many variables that come into play that are going to affect your performance on any given night.
You know what I particularly liked about the gig? First thing, drummer, open right hand on the right. That was cool.
Sick.
Second highlight for me, so Night Demon were playing as well. Bass player, guitarist. They play in Cirith Ungol as well. Both using flying Vs.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
But different flying Vs to the flying Vs they used in Night Demon.
Yes, that's total dedication to that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Also different clothes as well.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Night Demon, the guitarist, vest, no shirt.
Yeah.
Very tough.
Yeah.
I think probably the toughest look you can have on stage.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Apart from that thing that the horns you have on and then your chest is covered in blood. Just the blood and horns type.
Yeah.
Different kind of tough, I guess.
Yeah. Not really, probably wouldn't suit style.
No.
But yeah, different toughness.
Yeah.
But vest, no shirt, very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good time.
And the night was great overall as well. It was a fantastic lineup. Support from...
We had Agalloch on there and...
Melbourne band, Agalloch, yeah.
Taro as well. Tansy, that was awesome.
These are a couple of Australian bands who, dare I say, with pride in my heart, what a couple of great current Melbourne bands. That truly was, it complemented the lineup.
Yeah.
And it wasn't token. It wasn't just hey man, we've got to stick on a couple of local bands, to keep everyone happy.
Who's in town?
Yeah. Who we got? Yeah. No, it wasn't the case at all. Two very, very, they're on fire at the moment, these bands. Aardvark, obviously, newish, only been around for a year and a half or so. But they've
Not even.
Really?
August was when they started.
That's coming up a year.
Yeah.
Not even a year.
Not even a year. Yeah, it's wild.
That's stunning.
Mm.
That's stunning. And they've already played 400 games.
They have played a few games.
Probably more than Cirith Ungol have played in their entire career.
Yeah.
They have played heaps.
But I guess it's like it's testament to playing live a lot. You get good at playing live, right? And they're on fire these days.
And Tarot, who've been around for much longer time, couldn't say precisely, maybe at least 10 years, probably 15.
Mm.
But they've just released their new album, what's it called? Glimpse of the Dawn, which has come out on Cruz del Sur. And they just got back from Europe, promoting that in the European summer festivals. And they're at the top of their game as far as I'm concerned as well. Like the album, they've said themselves, it represents themselves in their most refined form to date, and it's absolutely true. Like Glimpse of the Dawn is a triumph, and it's something I'm proud to say as an Australian album as well.
What number album is that for them?
I think it's their second full length.
Second full length.
Yeah, I think it's their second full length. Yeah.
I was hoping that'd be a nice tie-in to our next topic, but it's...
You know what? I can... Let me let me doctor that a bit. Their second full length, but actually it might technically be their first full length because the first full length was a compilation.
A compilation of EPs?
A compilation of EPs, yeah. So I think that they've done a bunch of substantial EPs, but a full length might be their first.
We'll edit the research in later.
We'll edit in the research later, yeah.
Anyway,
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Great band, great performance.
Any gigs coming up you're looking forward to? There's been a lot of tours now.
Yeah, and they've actually announced a bunch in the last week.
Enforcer, you'd be happy about.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
That's January.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hammerfall in January as well. I think the week before, week after, which is...
Yeah. Hopefully not on the same night, so we can attend both. Or hopefully not at the exact same minute of witching hour, so that we can either go one and then to the other. Yeah, that's awesome. Hammerfall, that's cool. I've never seen them before. I would be thrilled to see them. They come up on my list later, actually, for debut albums. So we'll circle back to that.
Completely other end of the spectrum, Ulcerate and Pestilential Shadows coming up in early August, I want to say. They're doing a little East Coast tour, so I think it's the 2nd of August in St Kilda for Melbourne folk. And probably...
Where are they from?
Ulcerate from NZ, but Pestilential Shadows come down from Sydney, and I think Altars is on that lineup too, but I may have made that up. But that'll be cool. Agalloch, early September, same week as Iron Maiden. Actually, I've got a nice little trio there. Sydney, Agalloch, Saturday, Melbourne, Iron Maiden. Sunday, Melbourne, Agalloch. But yeah, I mean, you got to be excited for Iron Maiden. How many times have you seen Iron Maiden?
I think I've seen Iron Maiden maybe 6-ish times, I think. I first saw them in 2008-ish or 7-ish.
Somewhere back in time.
That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one. And that is absolutely one of my favourite shows I've ever seen in my life. And my gig going... Yeah. My career of going to gigs. Unbelievable show. And I remember when they got to the encore of that gig, I remember looking at my good friend Nico, and we were just like...
Nico McBrain.
We
were on the side of stage.
I remember looking at Nico. Nice one. Unrelated Nico, actually. Happenstance.
Surprising.
Looking at my friend Nico and just thinking, what are they going to play next? Like, what else could they possibly play? They've played just back-to-back absolutely stunning, just world-class classic heavy metal. We were just... And then they played Hello Be Late, and it was like,
of course.
Naturally.
Yeah, they've always got another bullet in the chamber, don't they?
Absolutely, man. They've got one ready to rock at all times. And since then, been a bit up and down, because depending on whether you like the new album or not, because they're very much fans of we play the new music, which is good, more powerful. Like, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
But yourself? What your gig going experience with Iron Maiden? Do tell.
They did 2 nights in Sydney. I was living in Sydney at the time when that tour was happening, so I saw them both times then, and let's say 3 other times. Once for the Final Frontier album. I remember they were out for that.
Yep.
I think it was Soundwave, but they did a side show in Sydney.
Yep.
I saw them at Hellfest.
Oh wow.
In 2014 for I think it was like the Seventh Son tour. And then...
What do you mean the Seventh Son? Is that a celebration of that?
Yeah, I think it was the set list they played on that tour.
Yeah. I don't think that made it to...
No, it didn't come to Australia, I don't. But then I think they still played like Fear of the Dark in the encore. So
yeah. I think they play Fear of the Dark no matter what's going on.
Yeah, they're doing Killers, start to finish.
Yeah. Strictly 1980s. Plus Fear of the Dark at all times.
And last time they were here, Book of Souls tour.
Yeah.
So you have many letters 5 times.
Yeah.
So this will be number 6.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did they play most of Book of Souls?
They played a few. I reckon it was like 3.
It's still about 45 minutes worth of
No, it was... I think it was 25 minutes.
Okay.
But I guess I think we can transition from this Iron Maiden related conversation to the
topic of the day.
Topic of the day, and that is, given this is our debut episode, debut albums, and the perception that... Oh, actually, no, one more thing I got to mention. Gigs coming up.
Oh, right.
Remiss of me.
Oh.
Bastardizer. 10 years since Enforcers of Evil. They're doing a show at the Duke in Sydney on the 21st of June.
Are they playing the full album from start to finish?
They are.
Yes.
So I just wanted to congratulate Chris and Bill on 10 years. I mean, a few other guys have come and gone through that band, but they've been stalwarts and
absolutely
deserve to celebrate.
Absolutely. Stalwart, as you say, that's the way to put it, man. A couple of genuine legends of the Sydney heavy metal scene, like just at it.
Yeah. Maybe that's an even better way to transition into their debut album talk, because it's the debut album.
There you go. Yes. Very good.
So topic of the day.
Yeah.
Debut albums. Are they actually the best albums of bands? Or is that a myth? Is that actually a myth? Have I just made up that people say? People say it, right?
I think it's... I'll start by saying this. I think it's a personality trait. I think there's a certain kind of person that thinks the first album is the best of any band.
Yeah, okay.
And they like having that opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You know, that's...
I just want to make sure I hadn't pulled that out of my ass.
No. It's definitely something that exists, but I'm not sure if it's related to trends in music reviewing or trends in musical fandom. I think it's close to a personality trait that people are just like, the first one is the best.
Yeah.
And whether or not that's founded on something in their personal experience or if that's just a crutch, as it were. Just like something that's kind of like a thing that's easy to say. It's like,
I know what you mean.
I don't know.
It's a cop-out. Without having a real personality or a real opinion, you could just... First album, third track's the best.
It's a cop-out. I hate you people.
So I was thinking about it. After I suggested it to you, I thought I should probably actually think if I thought it was real or not. And I was actually kind of struggling to come up with bands that I thought the first album was the best album of. But I sort of went through there's a bunch of bands that I can accept the argument of. Like Iron Maiden, I can accept the argument that the first Iron Maiden album is the best.
The argument could be made.
Yeah. Like that person obviously just, probably prefers that style of, because when bands change singers or change style quite dramatically at some point. They don't like Bruce Dickinson's voice for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. I can accept that. Black Sabbath, you can make that argument fine. Metallica, I don't think you can.
Interesting.
I don't think Kill 'Em All can be considered better than Ride the Lightning.
Interesting.
Megadeth, if you think Killing Is My Business is the best album.
Get out of my house!
That is...
You idiots!
Some bands it's just like not acceptable to... you couldn't say No Prayer for the Dying is the best Iron Maiden album. That's a wrong opinion.
That's flat out wrong. Scientifically inaccurate information.
Black Sabbath 13 is not the best Black Sabbath album.
No.
It's factually incorrect.
Yeah, I think we're probably mostly on the same page here as far as that goes. I think, like you say about the first Iron Maiden album, you can make that argument. You can make the argument that, like, say, the first Merciful Fate, Melissa. You can make the argument and say, Melissa is the best Merciful Fate album.
Yeah.
Whether or not I agree with that, there's enough arguments on the side of that. There's enough reasons on the side of that. But and I think that's something that's not improved. It's become more the case as time has gone on. Like, so from the 80s onwards, 80s well into the 90s, bands were more fully formed and more fully, like, they gathered their strength a lot more before putting out a debut album.
Yeah.
So from that kind of time period onwards, a band like Metallica, Megadeth, Exodus, and then rock music, Guns N' Roses, whatever. Like, bands are much more fully formed.
How many times did they record after
Destruction?
Given the re-release,
Guns N' Roses should have stopped after Destruction.
Remember the re-release they did a few years back with like 78 track. I don't know. It was like, but they had like 50 versions of every song, and it was like, the Sunset Studio session. It already sounds fine. Why'd you do it again and again?
And again and again. And again and again and again. Oh, man. Yeah, so as time has gone on, that becomes more apparent that because a band spends more time together, they rehearse more, and it's harder for them to get the resources together to record something. So naturally, they're going to be better by the time they get to it.
Yeah.
Whereas in the 70s and previously, like, if you knew the right guy, you get a record deal, or it's like they just recorded.
They didn't even have a band yet.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Joe Blow down the pub has played, mate, that sounds like a band, let's give him a record deal.
Yeah, yeah.
And whether or not it was a one-off or what have you, and you got bands like, bands like Deep Purple, UFO, except Scorpions, like absolute colossal giants of the genre. All of those bands' first albums, you cannot make the argument that the first one is the best.
Yeah.
You cannot say that Lonesome Crow Scorpions is the best Scorpions, right? Unless you're super high. And if you're super high, then that's fantastic.
Having a good day.
Have a wonderful afternoon. You're sure the best, but that is not the best Scorpions album. Yeah, I mean, like, and then 90s and beyond, then you get bands that, like, the first album they're making is a masterpiece. Like, the first one out of the gate is like, whoa, what am I hearing right now? And then that's bands like, and I think Hammerfall was actually one of those bands. I think the first Hammerfall album, Glory to the Brave.
Glory to the Brave. Yeah. Particularly the original film clip for that song.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I'm remiss.
Oh,
yeah.
It's have you seen the because there's two film clips for it.
Oh, of course there is.
One's a bit lame. Yeah. It's just a bit more professional.
Okay, yeah.
And thus lame.
Yeah.
But the original one, it's like very budget, and they're in like a park playing the song.
Yeah.
And there's like one bit where there's like a very man-made waterfall, like maybe only like 20 to 30 centimeters wide. And Oscar plays the solos, standing like legs
astride.
Yeah.
Astride this epic.
Yeah. And there's like a few shots where they do like a close up of the drummer there, and he's pretending to play drums, but there's no drum kit there. It's just
he's air drumming?
He's got sticks.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's got sticks. Yeah. That's horrendous.
Something to check out.
Yeah, cool. Well,
homework for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, so I disrupted your train of thought.
No. That's
But yeah, Hammerfall, because that was not like power metal. What year was that? 94?
No, I reckon that's 97.
97. Well,
pushing it.
Even less of a time for power metal.
Yeah. The argument for power metal is like, it was arguably at its strongest when how do I put this? It's the strongest when it was its least popular. You know? The late 90s was a really killer time for that.
Well, you got the great Blind Guardian albums then.
Absolutely.
Virgin Steel were making their best music.
Yeah.
15 years into their career.
Yeah.
Finally hit their stride.
Strange time too, but more power to them.
Yeah.
Lost Horizon, made those in 2002, you know.
So Gamma Ray would have been...
Absolutely. Yeah, that was absolutely Gamma Ray's peak time, like 96 to 2002-ish, I reckon.
Well, what year was Majesty? I like that album. That was 94, I think. No, 2004, sorry.
Yeah.
Or 2003, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, 2000.
But like Land of the Free was, 96?
Yeah, that's 96, 97.
Oh, Power Plant's a good one too.
Yeah, Power Plant's unreal. Yeah.
Actually, those four albums probably...
that's a great run.
That's
an unreal, like... Probably, I even really like the third one, Insanity and Genius, and that's 93, I think. So from that 10-year stretch for Gamma Ray is probably like there. That's probably that Gamma Ray probably represent that kind of period of European power metal, I think, because the 80s is well and truly gone. You know, the kids aren't listening to power metal, right? They're listening to Nirvana and Pearl Jam, you know, and like that kind of period. That's what I mean. Is what I was saying before was about its least popular in the sense it had. You know, they weren't in the heavy metal magazines, you know, like, but it was strong, you know, strong, consistent music.
And then the sort of mid 2000s when your Dream Evils and that sort of thing comes in and it gets very...
you can say it.
Cheesy.
You can say it, yeah.
I was trying to think which word I was going to use.
Dream Evil are an excellent example of that, like it's super competent musicians, like, and, you know, and okay songwriters, but something that's a bit like, it's kind of like the copy of the copy.
Yeah,
And the duplicate of the duplicate, and you're a couple copies down the line, and it's like, I don't know about this. Yeah,
but Hammerfall kind of, their first album, the first few albums, they were sort of in that tough area. Not super tough.
Not super tough, but I don't think that wasn't their.
They were never trying to be tough.
No.
They were very wrestling. I've got a live DVD of them, and it's like the drum kit rises up, and then like each band member individually comes out from underneath the drums. Like in like a big intro, you know, entrance music type thing.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild kind of, there's a lot of theatrics and stuff going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's...
But there's Hammerfall out of the gate, like that's what I mean with the debut album kind of thing, like fully formed. There was, if you would release an album of that kind of quality and consistency and production value and performance, you know, 10 years ago, 10 years previous to that, you just wouldn't have happened. You would have been like, these guys should be like 10 albums, and, you know, a few albums into their career before making something like this. But that become more of the case as the decades passed on and went into the genre of heavy metal.
But speaking of fully formed first albums, Holy Diver has to be one of the... Like a pretty impressive amount of albums that Dio was on in a very short period of time to still have like enough in the bank to make Holy Diver.
Yeah. Dare I say, you should have expected that from him at that time. You know, like you'd be like, you know, this is his 4th or 5th or unofficially 10th band. You know, and it's like, well, we're going to make an album. You know, he's not going to slash. You know, it's going to be rad. But of course, I'm not taking that for granted. I'm just it's. What a stunning, you know.
And like quite a different band to the other bands he'd been in. It's not a mile away, but it's not.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that when I was a younger metalhead, you know. But you're right. It's different. It's slick, you know. It's a bit more Hollywood without being like you know, docking.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Are you a fan of Dio's career overall, as far as, the band Dio?
Yeah, of course. I remember when I was, my probably introduction to Dio would have been maybe year 10 or 11, and Killing the Dragon had just come out.
Yeah.
So it's, it's a big fan of, I had that album, and as was the habit at the time, you bought an album and you listened to it 8,000 times until you could afford another album.
Which was 8,000 years later.
I'm pretty familiar with that one. But no, I think there's a lot of like Last in Line and
Dream Evil and Sacred Heart.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of good stuff through there.
He couldn't really do much wrong in the 80s, Dio. That it's interesting you say about Killing the Dragon. I think that must have been, I think I got that and Holy Diver at the same time.
Oh right.
Which is interesting in itself, because it seemed two markedly different parts of the career of the legend. But I remember just enjoying them both as much as
they're just the same.
It's the same how far we've come.
Yeah, how nice is it when you're young?
Yeah.
You can just enjoy things.
How nice is everything when you're young before the weight of the world?
You can have a good time. You can put an album on and it's okay. You don't have to
Didn't have to check with anyone if it was okay, you know.
You didn't have to, organise a time with your friend to make a podcast where you talk about it. You could just have fun.
You could just put on the music and be like, yeah, this is cool, man.
Yeah. Heavy metal.
Do you like it? Yeah. Well, that's the end of it.
Yeah, that's actually all that matters.
All that matters right now.
Any other notable...
We've got to go with favourite debut albums. So start thinking of your favourite debut albums.
Okay.
If you have or have not already. Start thinking,
I'm gonna cop out and just say Holy Diver would be my favourite debut album.
Yeah, cool.
Since we've already talked about it, it's fresh in mind.
Yeah. It's as good as a reason as any.
Walls of Jericho probably comes in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge.
Mm-hmm. While you're thinking of that, I'm gonna
what have we got here?
I did some. I recently had a 3-hour flight.
Yeah.
And on that flight, I decided to make a list of bands. I got to about 60-something, 65. And I decided to use the very reliable source of the Metal Archives.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
To track first album.
Thank you, Metal Archives. Sponsored by?
I reckon one of my top 3 websites.
Yeah.
Metal Archives.
Yeah.
Good app too.
Yeah.
You've got the
I do not.
Comes in handy more often than you might think.
I absolutely believe that. Yeah, cool.
But anyway, so I got the number of albums the band has released, the first album ranking on average, the last album ranking on average, the best album rating.
So you've collated some.
I've collated some data here.
Some numbers.
And what album that is. So it's it's Rust and Peace. It's the 4th album.
Yep.
And then did the percentages on where that sits in the if you've got 17 albums.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
So I've done a bit of stats.
Yeah.
When I said I was going to go into some detail.
Yeah.
I culled any band that didn't at least have 5 albums.
Yeah.
Because I think
That's an excellent point you bring up. We didn't touch on that before, but a band might be more likely to have one killer album if they only release one album. Or if that's all they've got, because otherwise the metric kind of doesn't mean anything if you've only got one album. And then what career are we basing this against if you've only got 1 or 2 albums? So excellent point.
So that's where that actually culled a fair few bands because like Emperor only 4 albums.
Yeah, right.
Dissection only 3 albums.
Yeah.
Like a lot of.
Yeah, and Crimson Glory is one of my favourite bands of all time and one of my favourite debuts of all time. Actually, I should put that on record now.
Yeah.
They've only got 4, and that's that
didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the cut. Renders them unable to be in this statistic, which makes total sense.
Yeah, but so I did some summary numbers to make it a little bit easier to digest.
Yep.
So what's your gut feel on where the best album in a band's catalogue sits?
Oh, okay, all right. So generally, it's album 3 or 4. Yep. Generally, it's album 3 or 4, and I've found that to be the case with my personal picks over the years. And
it is on average across the 60 odd bands.
Yeah.
3.95 albums in. But that was my gut too.
Yeah.
And 34% into their career. The best album is on average.
I was just looking at my watch and just checking how far into my career I am.
It's great news for Flickcraft.
Yeah, the next one is going to be a masterpiece.
Yeah. The best album is on average 20% better than their career average, which is that's a big jump.
Yeah.
It's actually well worth getting a band's best album in that instance.
Yeah.
So best album average, 91.8. That's elite. That's. These are scores out of 100.
Oh right. So the average that someone gives a score for an album as being their favourite, they're awarding it 91%.
Yeah.
A score.
Yeah. Just shy of 92 is what the best albums are getting.
Yeah, that's a huge. That's an A. Is that an A plus? Certainly an A.
I never got marks that high.
Yeah. I wouldn't know.
It's breathing rare air. The first album average, just shy of 83%.
Yeah.
So that's about a 9% drop.
Yeah.
The last album's 77.5.
Yeah. It's still not abysmal though.
No. I reckon a lot of late albums like that, you get a lot of nostalgia or enthusiasm, particularly when an album's just come. So actually, like My Dying Bride was one that came up, their new album, which is only a couple of months old. It is a good album, don't get me wrong, but I think it only had 3 or 4 reviews. Yeah. And that was at 94%. And I wasn't going to accept that was their best album.
And see that you're touching on something else which is important here. At what point of knowledge is the audience making this call? Yeah. Time answers these questions more than actual observation does. You can listen to an album 1,000 times this week, but it matters more that you listen to it once this week and every week for the next year. Yes. That's more important to know, because you're judging it then by the way it lasts and the way it makes you feel in general, not just how you feel today.
Do you want to know what we'll listen to King Diamond Abigail just before?
Yes.
Do you want to know what score that has? You said
I can guess.
You said it was near perfect. When you walked into my house, and
if Abigail is anything less than 97%, I will be very disappointed, Metal Archives.
98.
Yes!
That is astonishingly high. Not that it shouldn't be that high, but just universally acclaimed album.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because big albums, you see, I've flicked through before, and things like Master of Puppets, there's some dickhead that's rated at 0.
Yeah, right.
And, how can it be? It's an actual album. How can it get 0?
Yeah. You're out there, mate. I tell you what.
Don't like us.
Don't review our bands. Because if you don't like Master of Puppets, oh my god.
2 decades talking now. There was a few surprises in that. It's cool to know, just while we're on that topic, it's cool to know that there is at least one kind of band or artist that goes across. Because a lot of different genre fans listen to King Diamond, Merciful Fate. You've got power progressive fans, you've got death and black metal fans. You've got a lot of different people come from different places to view that band from different vantage points, and so that's kind of a general litmus test of how good that is. That's, for sure. It's quite Anyway, absolutely. Interesting as well was the second album of King Diamond, right?
Yes, it is.
Not the debut album, even though it's the second band. Bruce Dickinson, I think. I assume it was Chemical Wedding was the best Bruce Dickinson album, but that's
you assume correctly.
that's 3 or 4 in. 4,
maybe 5 actually, because I think goes Tattoo Millionaire, Balls to Picasso.
Then Skunk Works, then Accident Birth,
then Chemical. So it's 5th.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so he's bucking
he's
bucking your numbers there.
He is. But that's why you got to. I initially aimed for 50 bands, but quickly I was well beyond that. I'll give you the data later so you can look at it in your own time.
Very good. Yeah.
But I was particularly shocked by Halloween.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Which way is this going to go?
Because I've always thought I was a Halloween fan, although I only listened to. I don't think I've listened to an album after Keepers 2.
Yeah.
But I still think I'm a fan. I've seen them live. Whatever. I like them.
Yeah.
But their top album was Walls of Jericho.
Yep.
Which I was thankful for, because if they had 2 other albums that were only 1% behind, and that was going to blow my mind
if they weren't Keepers.
Well, yeah, if there were albums I'd never even heard of.
Yeah.
So it sort of shocked me into realizing I should probably listen to albums that aren't the first 3.
Yeah, yep, and fair enough. And look, what's the worst that could happen,
But there was 2 albums. One was a late 90s album, and one was a mid, 07-ish.
Yeah.
And they were both 94% averages.
Being a Halloween fan, I think, is kind of if I were to compare it to pop music or classic rock, whatever you want to call it, like David Bowie. If you're a fan of David Bowie, two completely different. You can be a fan of two completely different things. So you can be a fan of like proto heavy metal if you're a David Bowie fan, but you could also just be a fan of art rock or power pop if you only listen to the late 80s and early 90s stuff. That's kind of like maybe the power metal equivalent.
David Bowie's the power metal equivalent.
I mean, from an artistic, from a fandom perspective, is that you can be a completely different fan of that band. Like I know people who only listen to that first EP, Walls of Jericho, because they're like the Kai, just the thrashy, dirty, filthy Guy Hansen led. And that's totally different from Andy Darris and the power metal escapades of the early 2000s, which are great fun. Yeah. But it's a different world. Yeah, apparently. We got the numbers to say so.
I was shocked that the Keepers 1 and 2 were both in like the mid-80s for percentages. I knew they were from the mid-80s.
Yeah, chronologically, temporally.
Yeah. Because it was an exercise of flicking through a lot of bands, and I look up the band on the Metal Archives app, flick through, and be like, I had a thought of where the best albums should land for most of these bands, and then some of them,
we were talking about how it's become more of a phenomenon as time has passed. It's not always the case, though. Obviously, nothing can ever be a case 100% of the time, but there are some bands I'm thinking of now, and Mastodon is one of my favourite bands of the last 20 years. Yeah. And their best albums are absolutely album 3, 4, and 5, like that, which are Leviathan and Blood Mountain and Crack the Sky. And watching that band at the time was an absolute joy, because I remember just feeling like that, this next album's going to be killer. Yeah. That feeling like, this next album's going to be killer. I just know it in my gut. And, why do I bring that up? Mastodon, album 3. Yeah. But anyway, that's just to support what we were just saying about that.
I didn't have Mastodon in the demo.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was just going off like bands I could think of whilst I was playing.
Yeah.
I wasn't like going through my record collection or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's it's pretty broad. Like Accept, Agalloch, Monomarth, Amorphous, Angra.
Wow.
So it jumps around.
Yeah. And what did Angra land on? Do you know what the
Angra? So 10 albums, first album 90, last album 83.
Yeah, actually, Angels Cry, that wasn't my on my list of favourite debuts of all time.
Yeah, right, there you go.
Yeah.
They've had a few different singers. It wasn't so Temple of Shadows was their top album at 93%.
Wow, interesting.
But they changed singers before Rebirth, was it?
That's correct.
Rebirth was the album that I had as a teenager and listened to a lot.
Yeah.
When did that original singer, did he go on to do anything?
Andre Martas, absolutely, yeah. Really active afterwards, and like solo album, did a couple of projects, one-off power metal projects type of thing. But the main thing he did after, not enough to make this, none of my 5 or 6 albums, unfortunately. The main thing he did was a band called Shaman, and they did a couple of albums, Ritual and Reason. And I think I like them possibly even more than Angra, actually. They're really, it's power metal, but like also not by the numbers, just a bit more soulful, a bit more. He was really thinking. I think he was really getting to a point where he wanted to write songs that were that was about the song. It wasn't about genre. Ticking the boxes. Yeah. And I think that's why Shaman is it's powerful music. It's good stuff. And he worked with our mate Tobias Sanek.
Oh yeah, friend of the pod.
Hey Toby. I call him Toby.
I call him Tobes.
Yeah, Tobes. Oh, mates.
Yeah, Australians. We destroy everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't actually know Tobias Sanek.
No, we don't. Full disclosure. He was on a few of the Avantasia albums. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. Okay.
He worked on a few of the Avantasia albums. And
that's the band I should have. Because they've got 5 or 6. They would have.
Oh mate, they might have 8 or 9 by now. Actually.
Because he does love double albums too.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting. I haven't listened to them all, but my guess would be Scarecrow would be the third album. But I don't know. Maybe the first one is.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think I've had it in there.
Personally, Avantasia is like a. They've changed a lot. Not in the sense that you're going to get this pompous, epic, heavy metal, 80s Meatloaf style rock. That's what you're going to get. But still, there's a different vibe. Like the early stuff is a straight up power metal. It's just very much, unabashed. Just like keep it at 7 keys worship. But it got a bit more, got a bit more Meatloaf as the only way I can describe it.
Well, he wrote a song for Meatloaf that Meatloaf didn't use. The Kiss of a Red Rose or something.
Yeah, Mystery of a Blood Red Rose.
Yeah.
It
sounds not enough words.
Yeah.
If it had, if the subjects in the review mirror may appear close. It was too catchy.
We need parentheses, full sentence, and parentheses. Otherwise, Meatloaf won't even look at it. It's like, I don't know why his song was way too succinct.
Yeah, not into it.
No.
And nor should he be.
No.
Actually, one thing I wanted to, we sort of spoke a little about it before, the Iron Maiden, the 3 or 4 songs off a new album is probably going to be 45 minutes. It's one thing I kind of, like, because you get a distinct drop off in rankings as bands go on, and the more albums you have. But I think if you and it's a common complaint, I suppose, by some people that Iron Maiden should probably chop about a third off the songs on new albums. But I was thinking about this yesterday, and if Steve Harris was the type of guy that when he mentioned an idea about a song to someone, if he was gonna, if the reasonable person responds in a reasonable way, and he took it on board, would songs like The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner exist?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or would you get Rime of the Ancient Mariner?
Are you saying if he took outward advice as easily as people were dishing it out, where would it land? I want to take your point here. Are you saying that what fat would he trim off the album? Would it be a one short song, or would he be trimming down the long ones?
I'm saying we wouldn't get songs like Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It's almost the...
I see what you're saying. Yeah, we'd have an album of Ganglands.
Yeah. It's kind of like, if we want to be happy about Power Slave and Summer Back in Time, whatever on the new albums is just something...
Yeah, we just got to deal with. Mate, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah. And there was Empire.
You can't have sing Iron Maiden and eat your cake too.
Exactly. If you have the time to really indulge those songs, Empress of the Sun or Sky, whatever. There was 18 minutes.
Empire of the Clouds, maybe.
Empire of the Clouds. Yeah. It's 18 minutes, but actually a pretty good song.
Yeah.
If you've got time.
Yeah.
Not everyone has enough time to listen to that one.
Tell you what, it is a good time to be an Iron Maiden fan. If you do like these songs that he writes, that's great. If you're a fan,
there's more of it than there's ever been.
Exactly, there's more of it than there's ever been. You must be having a wonderful life.
You could spend a whole day.
Yeah.
Midnight to midnight.
Yeah.
Listening to Iron Maiden and not hear the same song twice, I reckon.
Wow. Let's get the numbers on that. Right? I reckon. Yeah, let's stack up.
17 albums.
You are right. You are absolutely right, because a lot of, certainly the last 10 albums are 80 minutes long. So So that's 10 albums of more than an hour. So we're gonna have at least 24 hours straight of music.
And what a good day that would be.
What a good day that would be. If you make it through. All right, we have a challenge. I would wager that while you may not hear the same song twice, you will absolutely hear the same chord progression.
Shots fired.
Maybe I'll wait till 100 episodes in.
Next you'll be saying that Manowar occasionally reuse a phrase.
Excellent.
All right, top debut debut album.
All right, let's do it.
I've given you plenty of time to think about it.
Yeah,
I'm not at all distracting you talking about other things.
You got me. Crimson Glory.
Crimson Glory? Yeah.
1986. Masterpiece.
1986.
1986. Yeah.
How long were they around for?
That lineup only lasted 2 albums. They did that in Transcendence a couple of years later. They toured briefly for that, but I think Midnight... Oh, no, actually, Midnight stuck around until 1991's Strange and Beautiful, but that album, they replaced a couple of members, and it was a total departure from that kind of heavy metal sound, and it went to shit, you know. It went to shit. I quite like Strange and Beautiful, but we're not here to discuss strange third albums. We're here to discuss debut albums. So I'll try and stay on task here. Yeah. But yeah, that first album, it's a total masterpiece. Absolutely legendary performance by vocalist Midnight. It sounds like he was just wandering in the streets, just screaming at the insanity of the world, and they just like grabbed him and just put him in front of a microphone and said, all right, just do it there for 40 minutes while we play sick heavy metal. And then he just kept going. Like, he just sounds like a wild person.
Nice.
Absolutely amazing.
What do you reckon your worst debut album is? Of a band you like?
Yeah, okay. Man, that's a really good question, actually. That's a really good question. Yeah, because I guess the way to look at that would be like, what band
got way better?
Yeah, but we're talking, this is multi-layered, this is multifaceted.
Yep.
I'll try and be straight up here. I think UFO, one of my favourite bands of all time, and they've made some of my favourite albums of all time, and some of my favourite songs of all time, but I never, ever, ever listened to their first one.
Okay.
It's so boring. I
don't think I've listened to it. Probably not recommending it.
No, I couldn't recommend it lower. It's fine.
Anything else would be good.
Yeah, anything else on the planet would be good. No, it's space rock, and it's just got no direction whatsoever. And it's totally cool for the time. Like, and I'd rather have it on in the background than, you know, whatever the dance music that the kids are listening to. You know, it's fine, but it's just got nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
And I suppose for me, that's the disparity.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can answer that question without actively searching for a shit album to insult. Yeah.
For me, Virgin Steel's first album, and Virgin Steel's a band I like probably more than most people like Virgin Steel.
Yeah, probably more than David
Dufay
himself.
The first Virgin Steel album, don't like it all.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I think I've got it on CD, but I probably have listened to it twice.
Yeah.
I think it was originally recorded as a demo, and then whoever just released it as an album.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
80s
Virgin Steel is not particularly strong in my opinion, apart from like a few songs here and there.
Yeah.
But the mid 90s to early 2000s is
where it's at.
Marriage of Heaven and Hell, Part 1, Part 2, House of the Trace, Act 1, Act 2.
Yeah.
The 2-part albums are really their and then Visions of Eden's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, still like better than most albums, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, Virgin Steel.
Yeah, okay.
Really cool.
Yeah, cool. Top debut albums in general though, like favourites, because that I said Merciful Fate, Melissa.
Yeah.
Before it's hard, picking my favourite Merciful Fate is like picking my favourite hypothetical children that don't exist. Like,
and you've got a lot of them.
And I've got a lot. I've got a lot of hypothetical children that don't exist. Yeah. I feel very strongly about 90s Merciful Fate as well, which I think is a whole different. It's a whole world of underrated Merciful Fate that people don't often talk about in the 90s stuff. But just that debut is absolutely stunning. Now, that's one of my favourite debuts. Absolutely. Kill 'Em All's up there as well.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. It's not my favourite Metallica album, but it's one of my favourite first albums of all time.
Yeah, yep.
Absolutely.
It was, it's pretty electric and I guess debut albums in the context of the time they were released as well, when they are like, sort of changing the landscape as well on arrival.
Yeah.
So I guess Black Sabbath probably get a nod in that situation as well.
Oh man, I'm embarrassed. That's the first time one of us has said Black Sabbath today, because we have. Yeah, we're talking about Sabbath right now. We should have. I was actually listening to Black Sabbath.
You're wearing a Black Sabbath.
Thank goodness. Oh man, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I was listening to Black Sabbath on the way over here, and I thought just to get what am I going to listen to? The topic is debut albums. What am I going to listen to get myself in the mood for this? And it is the first Black Sabbath album, self-titled, 1970.
Perfect.
It's where it started.
Yep.
It's why we're here.
It's why we're
That
here.
album's why we're here right now.
Yeah.
Also our parents, but
Yeah, don't give them too much
here
credit.
specifically.
Yeah.
Here specifically.
All right. So Black Sabbath. On that high note, we should leave it there.
Probably wrap it up.
Yeah. It's episode 1, Metal Minutiae. Thanks for sticking it out this far, and
Heavy metal. See you next time.
Metal Minutiae!